rumours surrounding West Ham at the moment. A couple of them I'm going to deal with in this video. There's a couple I won't touch with a barge pole, quite frankly. Number one, because I don't believe them. Number two, because I don't think they're particularly helpful to where we are at the moment. Where are we at the moment? Well, aside from here. Where we are at the moment is, as the board have officially, unofficially declared that David Moyes has got this break of the World Cup to try and galvanise, to press the reset button, to try and get things back on track at West Ham. And then he's got 3 games afterwards, which Arsenal, Brentford, Leeds. That's if you are to believe that. And I sort of do believe that that's where their stance is at the moment. It's also been suggested that we've approached Pochettino. I'll deal with that in this video as well, just so as you know what's coming up in here as well. There's a link with Tuchel, which I just want to sort of bat away almost immediately. There's a few other managers. I just want to go through them all now. The board are in an interesting situation, though. Again, there was another rumour that the board had met yesterday or the day before. They hadn't. I'm not saying they haven't had phone calls, there haven't been some discussions, but the board's a lot more bloated than it used to be. It's gone on the days when Karen Brady and David Gold can pop round David Sullivan's house and they can call it a board meeting. That's not the case anymore. You can't convene. We're not in a position to convene a board meeting quickly at the moment, certainly not after the game of football, because basically Kretinsky and his party, if you want to call it that, they have to be present. They absolutely do. And there are a lot of other board members as well. So that's not happened. So anyway, we have the decision that we have, whether you think that's right or whether you think that's wrong. Clearly, I don't want to go too much on David Moyes at the moment, because there's a few things I want to discuss. And it's really all at board level. It's to do with recruiting another manager, and I am sort of uncomfortable with discussing David Moyes' position, bearing in mind he's still in it. So I do want to sort of skim over that. And this is not a video about me telling you who I want or anything like that. But also some other statistics have come up regarding our net spend. And that's over the last 5 years, and I'm really surprised at this. I mean, we have spent an awful lot of money. And I think that's important, particularly when you go on to talk about what managers we could or couldn't attract. Because the suggestion is that Pochettino has turned West Ham down. But before I get to that, particularly as far as the board are concerned, the boards are in a really funny situation. Because if they do what they said they're going to do and basically leave it until January, they've pretty much surrendered their advantage. I think at the moment the board can operate with a from a relatively safe standpoint, because they've backed the manager, they put funds into place. You can't suggest on one hand that David Moyes has wasted the money, then criticise the board for not giving him any money. So from that point of view, there's not a lot of eyes on the board in terms of their financial support. There's not a lot of pressure on the board. I'll tell you what there will be, though. If the board delay sacking David Moyes, and then they get to January and say we lose, well, actually the first game's 26th of December, but let's say we lose against Arsenal, we lose against Brentford, and we lose against Leeds, and then they replace the manager, there'll be massive pressure on the board. Massive. I think it'll be the most pressure since the Burnley protests. And that's a really weird thing for you to invite on yourself. I talk about Moyes' self-preservation, about Moyes' ambition, but I would find that a really naive thing for the board to do, because they would be inviting pressure on themselves. West Ham become a lot less attractive if that happens, because any new manager's got to hurriedly put his own team into place. The transfer window will have already started. He hasn't got the time on the training pitch that you would have had now. I just find it a really, really odd thing to do. And so it sort of goes back to what Gio was saying, which is we'll sort of back him or sack him in that sense. Don't keep it going on with these three more games. If you are going to get rid of him, you decide to get rid of him, really do give this time for somebody else to incorporate their ideas and put their ideas into the team. The rumour is, as I say, we approached Pochettino. Well, look, apparently, let's deal with Tuchel first. Apparently, we've approached Tuchel. Tuchel has a month left on his work permit in the UK. A bit over it, I say a month. His work permit, end of the year, basically. He has to leave the country. January, might have it wrong, something like that. January the 1st. As we understand it, Tuchel's remaining in the UK because he smells blood. He likes it in the UK. The kids are in school. He enjoys London. He's reluctant to give up his residence there because he believes that there's a chance he might get the England job. This is not new news. This is something I heard a little while ago. We have, how can I say this? We have a connection, Hammers chat, with somebody who comes into contact with Thomas Tuchel, and that seems to be, well, something I heard it as soon as he lost the Chelsea job, basically. So Tuchel's not going to take up the West Ham job unless we make an absolutely ridiculous offer that becomes more attractive than the England manager's job. We're unlikely to do that. Although I'm not sure how attractive the England manager's job is, but that's a different argument. The other situation is with Pochettino and Pochettino turning us down. Before I go into that, by the way, today's offer day number 6 of the 12 Days of Hammers Chat Christmas. 2 T-shirts, Hammers Chat T-shirts. This is Hammers, right? You think it's a who? It's sneaky. It's not. Look, doesn't see that there? 2 Hammers Chat T-shirts, 15 quid. That's a really, really good offer, right? Here's what you've got to do. Go on to hammerschatstore.com, pick out 2 T-shirts. There's loads of them. You'll have recognised the T-shirts before. Let me put my glasses on. We've got the Oasis T-shirt. There's the Who T-shirt, Evolution, Noble Last Dance T-shirt, Stone Roses T-shirt, Beer Mat T-shirt, Skamaka T-shirt. Probably won't want one of those at the moment. Paqueta T-shirt, even less. We've got the Navy T-shirt with the cross hammers, the Noble and Rice Celebration T-shirt. 2 T's for £30, which, funny enough, is exactly... what you how lazy am I, by the way? I just can't be bothered to do the edit. That's the code. Put 2 T-shirts in your basket. Put that in the discount code. There you go. Check it out. I mean, they're really, really good T-shirts. Got Hammers Chat logos on the inside, so you can see that. Anyway, Pochettino. Pochettino turns down West Ham. Apparently, we've. I'm not sure I believe this or not. But I would almost be disappointed if we hadn't approached him. Apparently, he said no. So that has spurned a lot of questions. How are West Ham not attractive to these managers? Well, I think you've got to first probably put it out there and say that Aston Villa were turned down by Pochettino recently. Pochettino, the Southampton manager, has gone. He's managed Paris Saint-Germain. He has a far loftier idea of himself than him coming and managing little old West Ham. That's how I understand it at the moment. However, how unattractive are West Ham? Are we a complete minger? I don't think we are. Glasses back on. I don't know why I took them off, quite frankly. Here's a stat for you. Only Arsenal, Chelsea and Man U have a higher net spend than West Ham in the last 5 years. You add Man City to that list if you're going to talk about the last 10 years. So obviously all of that's not on David Moyes. David Moyes is not even part of this conversation here, all right? So I'm not saying David Moyes had all that money. He hasn't. Over the last 10 years, only Man City, Man United, Chelsea and Arsenal have a higher net spend than West Ham United. That should make us attractive. I've said this a few times, particularly, I think it sort of gets overlooked because you're sort of not allowed to say anything nice about Liverpool and as a byproduct about Jurgen Klopp. And by the way, I've got the right ump with him at the moment anyway. However, I've said on a few times that Jurgen on a few occasions that Jurgen Klopp would love the West Ham budget. And it's true, Liverpool are nowhere near it. They pretty much broke even this season. So with that in mind, we should be a very, very attractive club. I don't subscribe to this theory that we've got to scrape the bottom of the barrel. Now, don't get me wrong. It doesn't mean I think everybody would want to come and join us. Would Brentford manager Thomas Frank want to come and join West Ham? I think not. I think he's probably got it good there. Why would you? At the moment, I don't think you would. That being said, you get a bloody big budget, and that's not just saying last year or the year before, over the last 10 years. That's a lot of data. A 10-year period's a lot of data. Only the very biggest of clubs have spent more than West Ham United. Now, that feeds into the old adage that a fool and his money are easily parted. And I think you could say that. Have we invested it wisely? No. I mean, if what we're saying is this is where we are over the last 10 years and we've spent more money than Tottenham, then Tottenham clearly are doing a much better job. I run a much slicker operation than West Ham do. And it's not just Tottenham. I mean, Brentford, we just said Thomas Frank. Brentford run a much slicker ship than West Ham do. We waste money. We wasted money on Haller. Lost 25 million pretty much instantly. We lost 36 million on Felipe Anderson, as I was discussing with Gio when we did our David Moyes discussion yesterday. We know how to lose money at West Ham. We really can devalue a player, depreciate an asset, whatever you want to call it. That being said, the money is still there if it's done properly and if it's spent wisely. And I think you would look at West Ham at the moment, and I think you should be able to look. I think if I was a manager or in any job, I expect them to be cocky. I expect them to have belief in themselves. I expect them to have an ego. I really would. So with that, I think if I was a top-level manager and I was looking at West Ham, I'd be thinking I can get a tune out of that Scamacca. I can get Pochettino playing. I'd like, even if it's just for half a season. Declan Rice in my team. Can I keep West Ham up? Yes. Also, you'd be looking at it thinking, oh, it's almost a tap-in of winning a trophy, isn't there, really? I mean, it's happened before. I think Benitez... by the way, if we get Benitez, I'm going to go mad. You don't want to be tuning in if we get Benitez. I'm talking about ambition here. But however, I'm talking about Benitez for West Ham now. Benitez, back in the day, good manager. But he took over, basically, and he won the UEFA Cup, won the Europa League for Chelsea, didn't he? But he came in mid-season. He basically had to tap the ball in the back of the net in metaphorical terms. I think, actually... the guy, Di Matteo did the same thing. He won the Champions League, didn't he? The hard work had been done. I'd already qualified for the knockout stages. He came in. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying he did nothing. He did well, but, got a bit of a tap in there. If you were coming to West Ham, you'd probably look at that and you think, with the talent of that squad, can I keep them up? I think it'd be an easy yes. For any talented manager, that's yes. But also you've got the tap in. You think, hold on a second. They're already in the last 16 of this Europa Conference League. You look at the other teams there who have got nowhere near the spending power of West Ham. Let me just say that by a country mile, West Ham have got the richest squad in the Conference League by a country mile, right? And you probably look at that and think, well, actually, that would be your instant hero status. Whoever comes in at West Ham would be an instant hero. We've not won a trophy in years. Yeah, look, it's not the best trophy in the world, all right? It's really not. But it is a proper trophy. I think Jose Mourinho winning it last year with Roma's giving it real prestige. And the fact that you then qualify for Europa League next season, there's a lot. It's got a lot going for it. The eyes of... It gets compared to the Intertoto Cup. It's really not. That was Mickey Mouse. This is a proper trophy. The eyes of Europe are on that competition. There's no doubt about it when it comes through. Group stages, no, let's be honest, no one's watching. But when it gets to the final and that, people are watching that. I think basically my point is I think West Ham are attractive. I really do. I think we do ourselves a disservice. Now, don't get me wrong, I would understand why maybe if we did approach the Pochettino might turn us down. But also, if that's who we really wanted, and I'm not sure I do. I'm not sure we should. I don't know. But I think you press ahead. I think that's a negotiation, right? That's what you do. Do you always take no for an answer? Why would you? I mean, we had to do this. Funny enough, the whole Pochettino transfer, regardless of whether you think it turned out well or it didn't, or he's doing well or not, we had to really persuade him. We were pulling agents in late in the day to try and get that deal over the line. He was and ahhing, waiting for a bid from Arsenal to come in. There was a lot of stuff going on there, but you had to persuade him in the end. We persuaded him. Okay, fine. Not looking great at the moment. But if that's who you want, I think West Ham are quite an attractive club. And I look at someone like Pochettino and I think, okay, well, you may well have an inflated sense of self-worth because you've worked for Paris Saint-Germain. But that Paris Saint-Germain job is gone. You will not be getting it again. So then what are you looking at? Real Madrid? Maybe he's waiting around for Real Madrid or Barcelona or something like that. Well, who's to say those jobs are going to come up? They probably won't. And if they do, who's to say they're going to go to him? So what's he waiting for? Because once you rule out the very elite, the cream of the European crop, you know, basically those clubs that want to do the European breakaway league, once you rule those out, West Ham should be right there. But I'll tell you this much now. We are far more attractive now than we would be in January. At the moment, we're not in the bottom three. You've got a lot of planning, a lot of time on the training pitch. Let's be fair. You know, look, England might go all the way, but they also might not. It's not like all the players are going to be gone for the whole of the World Cup. Some of them might pop back in a couple of weeks. You might get to work with pretty much all of the squad for nigh on a month. Or whatever, 3 weeks, 2 weeks, you get time on that training pitch, and that is really, really important. That's quite an attractive proposition. You feel confident you can keep us up. We're not even in the relegation zone. We lose, even I think lose 2 out of those 3 games and get a draw. We don't even have to lose all of them. We're in the bottom 3. You've got no time on the training pitch, and you've got to hurriedly try and work out who your signings might be. I say put your head together with Rob Newman. I'm far from convinced. I keep mentioning this. That Rob Newman remains. Far from convinced if Moyes goes. Far from convinced. I would like to think he does because it would show succession planning. It would show that it was David Sullivan rather than David Moyes that appointed Rob Newman. But anyway, even if you believe that to be so, the new manager's still got to strike up a relationship with Rob Newman, still got to decide, they've still got to come to some sort of accord, some sort of agreement, agree on targets, and what that person might have a completely different formation to David Moyes. I hope he's got a different formation or style to David Moyes. Anyway, there you go. I just thought it was really interesting looking at it, looking how the board are dithering, and I understand that, and I understand why they would want to put the message out that they want to remain loyal to David Moyes. I get that. Why undermine him? That I understand. But I don't think they're quite thinking of their own position. Because at the moment, there's not that much pressure on them. Come January, lose to Leeds, then whatever the first home game is after that. Oh, honestly, I mean, they may well find, maybe not pitch invasions and all the rest of it, or people screaming up at the director's box en masse. But I think it'd be very, very uncomfortable. And at that point, they may well be forced to act, but at that point, it may well be too late.